Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and today we'll be playing through a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Sapphire, but with a twist. After every gym battle, we'll spin this wheel for a number, each one correlating to a different event or rule we have to abide by. These can range from something as simple as lowering the level cap to something as problematic as limiting the number of times we can visit the Pokémon Center between gym challenges. And a couple of beneficial changes are thrown in there too. So anyways, we get into the run by grabbing Torchic as our starter, and I realize I need to name it. But I didn't come up with a naming theme ahead of time. I was drinking Sunny D at the time, so that's what we name him. We easily beat May and get Pokeballs, so we can start catching new team members right away. On Route 103, we find Hot Cocoa the Zigzagoon. Route 102 has Sunkissed the Surskit. Route 104's catch is Milk the Wingull. In Petalburg Woods, we find Sierra Mist the Shroomish. And quick little tangent, but I just found out that Sierra Mist was discontinued last year. As a self-proclaimed connoisseur of lemon lime sodas, I feel qualified to say that this is a national tragedy. Sierra Mist was the best lemon lime soda, hands down. Anyways, Route 116 nets us Grape Soda the Whismer, and in Rust Turf Tunnel we get Grape Soda the Whismer, except the S is a 2 this time. Yeah. And once we're trained up, we can take on the first gym leader, Roxanne. But Sierra Mist is an absolute mad lad, and solos the first gym without any issues, earning us the first gym badge. This is also the first time we'll have to spin the wheel, and our first spin is 24. In order to evolve a Pokemon, we will have to kill another one. Possibly one of the worst outcomes we could have gotten this early in the game. Our graveyard is gonna fill up pretty quickly. We arrive at Dewford Town next, where we fish up Cherry Cola the Tentacool. We can then head over to the Granite Cave, where we find Kool-Aid the Makuhita. And fishing on Route 106 nets us Monster the Magikarp. The next gym leader is Brawly, but Milk can spam Wing Attack and earn us the win. It was a little closer than I'd have expected, but a win is a win. We spin the wheel again, and it's a 9. That's going to be -1 to our level cap. So now the gym leaders are always going to have a level advantage over us. We can then head over to Route 109, where we find another Magikarp, this time named Monstour. And in Slateport City, we get a third Magikarp. This one is Monstrace. Route 110 has Sprite the Electrike, and we can evolve Sunny D into Combuskin, but we have to send Monstrace to the Shadow Realm as tribute. And just in time too, because we have our second battle against May next. Against her Shroomish, everything goes according to plan, and Sunny D quickly beats it with an Ember, but next in is Marshtomp, and we have to swap out to Sierra Mist on a Mud Shot, and we lose a quarter of our HP. Marshtomp then uses Bide, and we hit it with the Mega Drain, a move that heals us for half of the damage it deals. And since it heals us up by 11 points, that means we've dealt 22 damage to it. Bide deals twice as much damage as the user takes over the turns it's charging, so we should only take 44 damage, leaving us with 2 HP. But there is the possibility that Mega Drain actually dealt 23 damage and the healing was just rounded down, giving Bide enough damage to kill our Mushroom. So it's looking like a 50-50 chance on whether Shroomish survives or not. Marshtomp's Bide connects, and much like her namesake, Sierra Mist's life has been discontinued. Marshtomp nearly takes out Milk, but thanks to some insane confusion luck, Milk comes out on top, and then can take out Nummel with a single water gun. So now we can move up to Mauville City, where Hot Cocoa beats Wally with a single attack, then dies to a Whismur at Route 117. But while we're there, we're able to find Shasta the Roselia, and we can then evolve Grape Soda into a Loudred by sacrificing Grape Soda, except the S is a 2. The next gym leader is Watson, one of the toughest in the game, and he'll only be harder with a reduced level cap. So we resort to gambling to get some strong TMs to take him on. When I played these games as a kid, I remember Watson starting with his Voltorb, but it turns out my memory of events that happened 15 years ago are pretty horrendous, and it turns out he actually starts with Magnemite while we bring in Loudred. This is less than ideal, but we can't switch to our Magnemite counter without risking being paralyzed, so we just land a pound for a solid bit of damage, and then get paralyzed by a Thunder Wave in return. We can then swap out to Kool-Aid, who has to tank a Sonic Boom, a move that always does 20 damage. We fake out to deal a bit of free damage, and then we try to go for an Arm Thrust, but Magnemite outspeeds us and lands a Supersonic, leaving us confused, and we hit ourselves. Another Sonic Boom leaves Kool-Aid in a bad spot, but he powers through confusion and takes out Magnemite with a Vital Throw. Voltorb is in next, so we swap to Grape Soda, who has to eat a Spark on the switch. Another Spark brings us low, and we get through Paralysis to land a pound for respectable damage before our Oran Berry heals us. Voltorb goes for a Sonic Boom but misses, and we power through Paralysis a second time in order to land another pound. Voltorb's follow-up Sonic Boom lands, but we get through Paralysis for a third time to finish off Voltorb. Finally, we have to deal with Magneton. We switch to Shasta on a Shockwave, who handles it well. Sonic Boom brings us low, but we can then land a Stun Spore, paralyzing Magneton, and our Oran Berry heals us, bringing us out of KO range of a Sonic Boom. Mega Drain doesn't do a lot of damage, and Magneton lands a Thunder Wave, leaving Shasta paralyzed, but that's exactly what we were hoping for. We can bring in Sunny D without worry of being paralyzed, and he's hit pretty hard by a Shockwave, but we survive, and with a Flamethrower we got from the game corner, we can take out Magneton, winning us the fight. We spin the wheel again, and 29. One of the few beneficial spins on the board, this one increasing the level cap by 1. But now that we can use Rock Smash, we can go on our next catching spree. We head over to Route 112 to find Fanta the Nummel. We get Root Beer the Torkoal at the Fiery Path, Lemonade the Sandshrew in Route 113, 114 has Fresca the Lotad, and finally, we find Strawberry the Zubat in Meteor Falls. We also evolve Monster into a Gyarados by sacrificing our last remaining Magikarp, but he then immediately gets Yamcha'd by a Flying Fart Cloud. Fantastic. But we can make up for this by evolving Kool-Aid into a Hariyama at the cost of Sunkissed, and with that, we're ready for our first fight against Archie. He starts with a Mightyena, whose Intimidate ability lowers Kool-Aid's attack, just enough for it to survive a Fake Out and Vital Throw. He swaps out Mightyena for Golbat before we can take the KO, and Golbat hits us with a Wing Attack pretty hard, but we can land a Rock Tomb, taking out a solid chunk of its HP and lowering its speed. We can then swap to Sprite on a Wing Attack, then we can outspeed Golbat and finish it off with a Spark. Mightyena comes back in, and we can swap to Kool-Aid to finish what he started. All that's left is Sharpedo, so we swap to Shasta, who barely survives 2 crunches in order to get a Leech Seed off. We can then bring in Sunny D, and a single double kick takes out Sharpedo, winning us the fight. Afterwards, we catch Powerade the Machop at the Jagged Pass, and I remember there's a pond at Route 111. So let's backtrack and see what we can fish up. And holy guacamole, is that Goldeen shiny. We catch them and name them Lemon Lime. We also head to Mauville City to hatch the Why-Not egg and name the baby Baja Blast. And finally, we can evolve Sprite into a Manectric at the cost of Fanta, and now we can take on Flannery, the 4th gym leader. She starts with Slugma, and we bring in Cherry Cola, who outspeeds it and hits it hard with a Bubble Beam, just missing the KO, and we're hit by a Smog for minimal damage. She uses a Hyper Potion, completely healing Slugma, but a second Bubble Beam gets a better damage roll and takes it out. Slugma balls. A second Slugma is in, but it suffers the same fate as the first, and her final Pokemon is Torkoal. Bubble Beam takes out just under half of its HP, and it retaliates with a Body Slam that leaves Cherry Cola paralyzed, so we have to swap out. Kool-Aid is in, and he handles the Body Slam well, and we can land a combo of Fake Out and Rock Tomb to leave Torkoal on the brink of death, but it hits us with an Attract. Not wanting to deal with those shenanigans, we swap to Root Beer as she heals up her Torkoal. We start trading Body Slams back and forth pretty evenly, but she suddenly switches to an Overheat that wipes out our Torkoal, which is really tragic since we needed her for the following gym battle. Kool-Aid is back in, and he makes quick work of Torkoal with Rock Tomb to win us the fight, and it's time to spin the wheel once again. This time we roll a 20, and the new rule is that we can only have 3 usable moves per Pokemon. We don't have access to the move deleter right now, so never in battle can we use the bottom right move, which we'll be keeping as an HM slot for most of our Pokemon. We can then head into the desert to grab the Claw Fossil, and in Rustboro City we can revive it into an Anorith who we name Zero Sugar. Needing a new Protect user for Norman, we evolve Milk by tossing Fresca into a volcano, and feeling invincible, we immediately rush to take on Norman. He starts with a Slacking, and we bring in Milk, the ultimate counter. We protect turn 1, blocking its attack, and now it can't move the next turn, and we're free to land a Water Gun for almost 0 damage. That's not good. And I only now realize that Protect has 10 PP, so we can only stall for so long. It would appear that my hubris has gotten me into quite the pickle. I didn't bother to train any of my Pokemon to the level cap, and this might be the end of us. This might be a reset. We eventually switch out to Kool-Aid. Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking and made this swap on a turn Slacking could move, and he's hit pretty hard by a Facade. But we can then retaliate with a Vital Throw on the next turn to take it out. Vigoroth is in next, and its Slash leaves Kool-Aid Man in pretty poor shape, and a Vital Throw isn't enough to take out Vigoroth, so we need to switch out. We bring in Sprite as Norman heals up, and then hits us hard with a Slash before we can paralyze it with a Thunder Wave. But once again, I wasn't thinking, and I immediately realized my mistake. We just doubled the power of its Facade, and Sprite is immediately taken out. Grape Soda is in next, and only manages to get 1 Uproar off for little damage before being torn to pieces by Slash. Sunny D is in next, and a Double Kick just isn't enough to get the KO, but luckily Vigoroth can't move thanks to the paralysis, and 1 more Double Kick takes it out. Finally, there's 1 more Slacking to deal with. We swap to Milk to use up the last couple Protects we had so we can get off as much damage as possible, and then switch to Kool-Aid on the turn it's loafing, and we can hit it with a Fake Out to make it flinch on the turn it can move. This buys us just a little more time to deal damage, and Vital Throw fails to get the KO, and Slacking is healed as we switch back into Pelipper, who's only able to land 1 more wing attack before dying. Kool-Aid is out for the final time, and we land a Vital Throw, bringing Slacking below half HP, but now we have to accept our fate and let Kool-Aid perish. Except Slacking goes for a Focus Punch on the next turn, allowing us to stop it with a rock tomb, and one more vital throw takes it out, winning us the fight. We spin the wheel and we get 14. Our highest level Pokemon is now dead, and that would be Kool-Aid. Such an undignified way to go after coming in so clutch for us in that last fight. But now we have access to Surf and we can get the Good Rod and go on another catching spree. In Petalburg City, we get Slushy the Corphish. Route 105 gets us Water the Whalmer. Route 107 is another Tentacool, who gets sacrificed to evolve the Tentacool we actually care about. New Mauville has Coca-Cola the Voltorb. On Route 118, we fish up Bang the Carvana, who is immediately sacrificed in order to evolve Lemonade into a Sandslash. And finally, on Route 119, we catch an Oddish named Chamomile, and they are also sacrificed. This time, we're evolving Strawberry the Zubat into a Golbat. We have another May fight, but she is only a threat specifically on Route 110 in this game, and she goes down without putting up much of a fight. We move to Route 120 to catch Punch the Kecleon, and we can evolve Lemon Lime into a Seaking by getting rid of Powerade the Machop. And with all of that, we can take on the 6th gym leader, Winona. But this fight is surprisingly easy for us. Lemonade can take out Swellow with a few slashes, Coca-Cola takes out Pelipper with a Spark. We get pretty lucky with Confusion against Altaria, and Strawberry is able to beat it with a wing attack. And Skarmory goes down to a single flamethrower from Sunny D. And for the spin, we end up getting 22, which limits us to a single Pokemon Center visit between gyms. We now need to be very aware of our PP while training, and some Pokemon, like this Melodic that just refused to die, will end up draining our PP very fast. We'll be relying on not only Lepiberries, Ethers, and Elixirs to keep our PP from hitting 0, but we'll be abusing reobtainable TMs and flying to Lily Cove every 10 minutes to delete our HMs and reteach them. Eventually, Strawberry evolves into a Crobat at the cost of Punch the Kecleon. We catch a few new Pokemon, including Cider the Shuppet at Route 121, another Magikarp and Tentacool in Lily Cove in Route 122, Pepsi the Meditite at Mount Pyre, Too Hot 2 Coco the Zigzagoon at Route 123, and we try to catch a Girafarig in the Safari Zone, but it escapes us. But if we did catch it, we would have named them Smoothie. We can then evolve Slushy into a Crawdaunt at the cost of a Tentacool, and Sunny D into a Blaziken by ditching another Magikarp. We make our way through the Team Aqua hideout where we find a Master Ball, then turn right and catch New Coke the Electrode, and we can defeat Team Aqua here and head to Moss Deep City, catching several more evolution fodder Pokemon on the way there, and grabbing Icy the Spheal in the Shoal Cave. It's around here, just before the 7th gym leader, that I noticed my Pokemon have Pokerus, a virus with a roughly 1 in 20,000 chance of appearing that doubles the EVs our Pokemon gain, making the little training we can do much more effective. And after what little training we can do, we can take on the 7th gym leaders, Tate and Liza, in a double battle. But with our powerful water types, they're able to make quick work of them by spamming Surf until both of their Pokemon go down. And now we get to spin the wheel once again, and it's 2. That's another -1 to the level cap, which will be very troublesome since that means we won't be able to use half of our Pokemon for a majority of the fights leading up to the final gym leader without risking passing the level cap. But we can make it to the final Archie fight safely, and we start with Lemon Lime to take on his Mightyena. We outspeed and land a Surf, taking out less than half of its HP, and it hits us back with a takedown for about as much damage. Our second surf gets a critical hit, taking Mightyena down, and Crobat is in next. It outspeeds us, landing an air cutter and bringing us low, but we retaliate with an ice beam, leaving it with just over half HP. We switch out to Cherry Cola while Archie heals up with a super potion cause he's broke. Wing attack hits us for decent damage, and Ice Beam takes out a huge chunk of Crobat's HP. Archie's broke ass tries to heal his bat once again, and it's just enough healing to save Crobat from being sent to an early grave from a second Ice Beam. Air Cutter brings us below half HP, and one more Ice Beam ends the bat. Sharpedo is in last, and we hit it with a Surf for decent damage before a Slash nearly takes us out. We bring Slushy in on a Slash, not losing too much HP, and we're hit by one more Slash before we can land a return to finish off Sharpedo and win the fight. The final step to stopping Team Aqua's plan is to defeat the legendary Pokemon Kyogre. With a base special attacking stat of 150 and being 3 levels above our current cap, we're in for quite the fight. But by employing the Joestar secret technique, we finish the fight in a single turn. You may have noticed we've stopped catching new Pokemon, and that's because with the current restrictions, it's not worth it to try to find anything new, and we have enough evolution fodder as is. One of which we throw away to evolve Zero Sugar into Armaldo. And after all of this, we can finally take on Wallace, the final gym leader. We start with Slushy to take on his Love Disc, and this may have been a mistake because we are immediately outsped and hit by an Attract and get immobilized on the first turn. So we swap out to Cherry Cola, and they're hit by a Sweet Kiss, leaving them confused. So we switch back to Slushy, who's hit by a Water Pulse and is afflicted by the 20% chance to leave them confused. But Slushy has the Persian Berry, so we immediately snap out of confusion, but we're once again outsped and hit by a Sweet Kiss, confusing us once again, and Slushy hits themselves not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times in a row, and then gets immobilized by Love, leaving them at the brink of death, and we need to swap out. Cherry Cola is back in on a Water Pulse, which hardly hurts us, and we land an Acid for decent damage before being left confused by a Sweet Kiss. We switch into Strawberry on another Water Pulse, and then we can use Fly, finally taking out Love Disc. Celio is in next, and we hit it with a Confuse Ray, and Celio immediately hits itself in confusion. Yeah, how's it feel, Wallace? We switch out to Zero Sugar, and Celio powers through confusion to hit us with an Aurora Beam, taking out a decent chunk of Zero Sugar's HP, but we can outspeed on the next turn and take out Celio with an Ancient Power. But surprisingly, we don't get the 10% chance to boost all of our stats. Seaking is in next, and it outspeeds us, going for a one-hit KO Horn Drill. But it misses, so we can land an Ancient Power, dealing quite a bit of damage, but still no Omni Boost. This hasn't exactly been the luckiest fight for us, so we switch out to New Coat before a Horn Drill can land, but Seaking uses Water Pulse. A Thunderbolt on the next turn takes it out, and next in is Whiscash, the Water Ground type. We switch to Strawberry, predicting the Earthquake, and then we bring in Shasta as Whiscash uses Amnesia to double its special defense. Shasta is then outsped and killed in a single Earthquake before we can land a Giga Drain. Amazing. So Strawberry is back in, and we use Confuse Ray, but Whiscash pulls through to land a Water Pulse for little damage. We start spamming Fly and Confuse Ray, hoping to whittle its HP down while it sets up more Amnesias, Rain Dances, and chips away at us with Water Pulses, and at some point I start using Shadow Ball, hoping to get the slim chance to drop its defense, but I remember too late that for whatever reason, this physical move drops special defense instead of normal defense. Well, now that Whiscash is only at times 3.5 special defense, he'll be quaking in his boots. Oh no, he boosted it back to ×4. Yeah, we're screwed. It's a long and hard-fought battle, but eventually Strawberry goes down to a Water Pulse. We bring Cherry Cola in, and Surf isn't enough to get the KO, and an Earthquake ends them too. We bring out Slushy next, and Wallace heals up Whiscash before we can hit it with a return, taking out about a third of its HP. Whiscash, still confused from its fight with Strawberry, then hits itself, allowing Slushy to get off one more return, and it's a critical hit, finally taking out Whiscash. His final Pokemon is Milotic, and unfortunately, this is where Slushy has to die. We're taken out by Twister, but that gives us a safe opportunity to bring in new Coke, and a few Thunderbolts takes out Milotic to win us our final gym badge. And the final spin of the roll wheel is 21. Sell everything possible. All of our remaining elixirs, ethers, and lepaberries, the rare candies we've been saving, and the one-of-a-kind TMs like Earthquake. All of them gone, and that puts us in quite the tough position. And since a lot of the Pokemon we've been focusing on raising are now dead, we need to come up with a new team to train up. Sunny D is an obvious choice, and Lemon Lime has done pretty well for us so far. Let's also add Cider to the team, but who else? Baja Blast will be our final team member. We sacrifice our last Magikarp and Zigzagoon to evolve Cider into a Bayonet and Baja Blast into a Wobbuffet. And after a long grind, we take our final Pokemon Center visit before entering Victory Road. We battle as few trainers as possible to conserve PP, and the final roadblock before the Elite Four is Wally. We start with Lemon Lime to handle his Altaria, but Ice Beam leaves it with practically no HP and it's able to use Dragon Dance. Luckily for us, Wally is also broke and is still using Super Potions, so we can take it out with one more Ice Beam on the turn he tries to heal it. Magneton is in next, so we switch to Zero Sugar on a Thunderbolt, losing about a third of her HP, but she can outspeed and land a Brick Break for the KO. Delcatty is in next, and it tries to hit us with a Sing, but it misses and goes down to a Brick Break as well. Gardevoir is in next, and while it does hit us hard with Psychic, we come out on top after using a few strengths. His final Pokemon is Roselia, but we can just bring in Sunny D to defeat it with a single Flamethrower to win the fight. And now we have to take on the League. Our final team being New Coke the Electrode, Lemon Lime the Shiny Seaking, Sunny D the Blaziken, Zero Sugar the Armaldo, Cider the Bayonet, and Baja Blast the Wobbuffet. Let's see if we have what it takes to defeat the Elite Four. Starting with Sydney, the Dark-type trainer. He starts with Mightyena, and we bring in New Coke. Thunderbolt leaves Mightyena weak, and it hits us with a Sand Attack to lower our accuracy. But we still land our next Thunderbolt to take it out. Cacturne is in next, so we switch to Sunny D as it uses Cotton Spore, cutting our speed in half, but we're still faster, and a Double Kick takes it out. Shiftry is in next, and it uses Double Team to boost its evasiveness, but Sunny D doesn't miss, and a Double Kick takes it out. Next in is Absol, and it tries to set up on us with a Swords Dance, but it too goes down to a Double Kick, and his final Pokemon is Sharpedo. So we switch out to Lemon Lime, who has been pre-poisoned to increase the power of her Facade. She's hit by a Surf, not taking too much damage, but Sharpedo outspeeds us on the next turn and hits Lemon Lime with a critical hit crunch, leaving her with just 21 HP. But Lemon Lime can then land a Facade for the one-hit KO, just barely surviving the recoil from Sharpedo's Rough Skin ability. Next up is Phoebe, who starts with her Dusclops while we bring in Cider. Shadow Ball does a lot of damage but doesn't get the KO and we're hit by a Confuse Ray, so we switch to Sunny D while she heals up. Flamethrower does quite a bit, and Dusclops sets up a future sight, but we can then take it out with another Flamethrower. Sableye is in next, and Flamethrower brings it below half HP before it hits us hard with a Psychic, and then we're also hit by the future sight from a couple turns ago, bringing us below half HP, but one more Flamethrower takes out Sableye. Phoebe's own Bayonet is in next, and we switch out for New Coke as it uses Psychic, taking out a third of our HP. We outspeed and land a Thunderbolt on the next turn, and we're then hit by a skill swap, but our ability was useless in this fight so it doesn't matter, and one more Thunderbolt takes out Bayonet. And next in is his second Dusclops. We land a Thunderbolt for about a fourth of its HP, and it hits us with a Confuse Ray. So we switch to Zero Sugar on an Earthquake, and we barely take any damage. Ancient Power brings it down to about a third of its HP before its Citrus Berry heals it, and it uses Confuse Ray. But we can power through and land another Ancient Power, but it isn't enough to take out Dusclops, and we're hit by a Shadow Ball. We switch out for New Coke as Dusclops heals, and we land a Thunderbolt before being confused again. So then we switch to Cider as it uses Earthquake, and we lose a fourth of our HP, but we can then land a Shadow Ball for the KO. Phoebe's second Bayonet is in next, and unfortunately, it outspeeds us and lands a Shadow Ball to kill Cider. We bring Lemon Lime in next, and a couple Surfs takes out Bayonet to win the fight. Our third fight is against Glacia, the Ice-type trainer, and she starts with Glalie while we bring in Sunny D, and a single Flamethrower takes it out. Celio is in next, and Double Kick leaves it with almost no HP, so it's able to get a Hail off, which will cause some chip damage over the course of the battle. Glacia uses a full restore, allowing Celio to survive another Double Kick, but the fifth kick ends Celio, and next in is Celio number 2. Double Kick does a lot of damage but fails to get the KO, and we're hit by an Attract. So we switch to New Coke as Celio uses Dive, and that gives me the idea to bring in Baja Blast, who handles the dive well, and then tanks a Blizzard before Baja blasting Celio into the afterlife. Glalie is in next, and we switch to Zero Sugar so Sunny D doesn't take too much damage before Glacia's Wall Rain comes in. We're hit by a Crunch, losing less than a third of our HP, but our special defense also drops. But I'm confident we can survive another attack. Turns out we can't, and Zero Sugar becomes 0 HP after being hit by an Ice Beam. But Sunny D can come in and avenge her with a Flamethrower, and all that's left is Wall Rain. We switch to New Coke on a Surf and lose over half of our HP, but we can then outspeed and land a Thunderbolt, leaving Wall Rain with what will just be over half HP after its Citrus Berry. And Wall Rain goes for a Blizzard, and misses. We land one more Thunderbolt, but Wall Rain survives off of 0 HP, and despite getting paralyzed, she powers through and takes out New Coke with a Surf. Sunny D comes in, and despite Glacia healing it with a full restore, we're able to take it out with a couple Double Kicks before we can take any more damage and win us the fight. The last Elite Four member is Drake, the Dragon Trainer, and he starts with Shelgon while we bring in Lemon Lime. Shelgon immediately protects, causing us to take some chip damage from poison, but on the next turn we can land a Facade, only taking out half of its HP. Less than I had been hoping for, and we're hit by a Rock Tomb, which lowers our speed. We land another Facade, and once again, the opponent survives with seemingly no HP left, and we're hit by another Rock Tomb, and we're left in pretty poor shape. We need to hold on to Lemon Lime for as long as possible so we can deal some damage with Ice Beam to threats like Salamence and Flygon. So we switch out for Sunny D as he heals up. Unfortunately, Sunny D doesn't have any moves that can deal a lot of damage to Shelgon, so we have to slowly chip away at it with strength. But Shelgon does it again and survives without any HP to its name. We do manage to put it down on the following turn, but Blaziken is in poor shape. Flygon is in next, so we swap out for Baja Blast as it uses Dig, and on the turn Dig strikes, we're able to land a counter, but it's not enough for the KO, and Flygon is free to set up a Sandstorm for chip damage. It then hits us with a Dragon Breath, but Baja Blast can use Mirror Coat to KO it. The second Flygon is in next, and it takes a bite out of Baja Blast, but we survive and can land another Mirror Coat. But Flygon survives with barely any HP, and Baja Blast goes down to one more Dragon Breath. We bring in Lemon Lime, but Flygon is faster, and Crunch takes her down. And finally, we have Sunny D. Strength takes out Flygon, and Salamence is in next. We hit it with the Flamethrower, taking out a third of its HP, but it then hits us with a Dragon Claw, killing Sunny D and ending the run with a loss. I definitely could have played the Elite Four better and probably should have taken the time to train up Icy the Spheal, but I'm still glad with how far we were able to make it. The challenge was neat, but I might need to tweak the rules and events before giving it another try, because some of them were a lot more brutal than I had expected them to be. Anyways, I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.